That's it. Master Li, right? He was so good, right? In China, all these thin, skinny trees in the park, yeah? He was so powerful, okay? When he peach one, the trees used to shake. The trees used to shake. And us guys were all behind, he was in the front, and all us guys were behind him, right? And he would go, bam, and all the trees would shake, and all the guys would just look at each other.
Trees that are several meters away.
Yeah, yeah, you could feel them.
From the ground.
Yeah, you could see them move. Unbelievable. And all the guys would look at each other and because Master Li was at the front, so he couldn't see us behind him. Did you see those trees move? But slowly, you know, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and then instead of having one good one out of 10, you know, you'd be 3, 4, 7, 8, and then it'd be bam, and then the left one, bam, you know, they'd be all. They got some power, but it takes time. It really does take time. It's hard. It's really hard training.
Tianjin, in the early decades of the 20th century. A violent, lawless port city where foreign armies, warlords, and criminal gangs struggled for power. In the Tianjin of that time, only the most skilled martial arts masters would dare to openly teach. The level of martial skill was extremely high, and the most famous of all the fighters was a professional bounty hunter, a Bagua and Xingyiquan expert named Zhang Jiaodong. Zhang's close friend was Wang Shangjai, martial arts genius and founder of Yiquan, the Mind boxing system. The young prodigy Jiao Daoxin, famous across China for his brutal fighting skills, was a disciple of both Master Zhang and Master Wang. In the last decade of the 20th century, a young Englishman named Paul Rogers came to Tianjin in search of real fighting masters, and was accepted into the school of a great Yiquan fighter, a disciple of Jiao Daoxin. Now back in the UK, the legacy continues, as Paul trains his son Coltrane in the martial skills of the Tianjin masters.
I started practicing Bagua when I was very young. I was about.
You probably don't remember. It was 5.
No.
5. 5 years old.
You remember?
I remember because the reason he started learning when he was that young was because he had so much energy. He used to get up to go to school like 6 o'clock, and school started at 9. So what am I going to do with this bundle of energy in the morning? You know, so I used to send him outside just to calm him, just to get some energy out of him. You know, so that was when he started going up and down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was hard because I mean, it's hard to get a 5-year-old kid to concentrate and do something like that. It's really, really tough.
Was you doing single movement practice or circling first?
I started doing the straight line.
Yeah, just single movement. I think you did that for about 2 years, at least 2 years, no circles.
And what kind of detail? I mean, that's very young to start. So what kind of detail was you giving him, or was it more fun, just enjoyable?
Yeah, it was fun, but just body alignment. Like we're talking about hand and foot, shoulder. You know, keep your shoulders down. Make sure you breathe. Don't hold your breath. No power, obviously. Just shapes. Just learning like you were learning to draw or to write. You know, you're not writing a novel. You just first you've got to learn the letters. You know, you're just building up shapes. You know, just certain shapes. Just get them. Just shapes. Just very simple as that. There's no internal movement. There's no yi. It's just getting the body to move You know, when you want to go left, you go left. When your hand wants to go up, it goes up. You know, it might sound simple for you or anyone now, but when it's a 5-year-old kid, it's pretty tricky. You know, when you say just turn your foot left, and you know, it's funny because do you remember when I started to train like Harvey and some of the other kids? Yeah.
Yes.
They couldn't do it. What, you know, it sounds strange, but they couldn't do it. They just had no idea. They just couldn't concentrate. They couldn't do two things at the same time. You know? So, like I said, if we do that up and down, you know, it seems very simple, but for a 5-year-old, it's actually quite demanding. believe it or not. So this is what he did when he was 5. Maybe just a few months doing that. Tan. Turn around. Good. Yeah, so these are all like Bagua palms. What about Qiao? Your favourite?
I like doing the sword. We started doing that outside, doing like.
I just got him to do like a pea with a bokken. I wanted to get him strong, you know, build up his arms and give him some core strength, you know, just to make him strong.
What was the most difficult thing in the beginning?
Probably the position, like the footwork. You had to put your foot in the right place and the arms in the right place at the same time. Yeah, that was probably the hardest.
I mean, to be honest, that's a long time ago. I don't think you can really quite remember, you know.
7 years ago, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long time.
And when you slowly introduced the circling?
Probably when he was like 8 or 9 or something like that. I can't quite remember, but after many years, I wanted to get him to do all the like straight line. There's quite a lot of moves, just what we call zhang fa. It's like a xiao zhang, tan zhang, zhang zhang, tiao, and it just basic zhang fa, just basic hand movements. I wanted to get him just to learn them all, and we learned all the applications, didn't we, of them. So it wasn't just
that one was the hardest.
Yeah, that was the hardest one. Yeah,
that was the hardest one.
And we didn't just do the moves, we tried to learn the applications for the moves, you know, some basic applications as well. And then, and then we started to do just like a Green Dragon Qinglong, the golden circle, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it sounds simple, but it wasn't simple, was it?
No.
P, yeah, remember?
Yes.
Good. 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 And again. Good. We only started doing it recently, really. Good. Good. I'm going to come in and check the hand. Good. Good. That's right. And again. Good. Good. What about one when you turn around? Remember that one? Good. That's right. Oh, yeah. And if I drop, yeah. That's right. Go up. Good. That's right. Yeah, good. Any more?
Let me think. Oh yeah, how do you do?
Oh, yeah. Only with the broadsword. Yeah, good again. Cover. Make sure you got that hand. That's right.
How do you do?
Yeah, we could do. A bit dangerous. Yeah, but everything becomes simple in the end, doesn't it, with practice? I mean, you could fit it up with more detail, but in just the basic shapes are always tricky in the beginning, you know, especially for a child. But, you know, no, it's not too bad, is it?
What are you working on at the moment, last year or so?
We're trying to do the 8th palm change now, just working on that.
We've just started, yeah, we've just started. But we learned the first 7, haven't we?
Yes.
But what we're trying to do, you know, for the past 2 or 3 years, I suppose, is try to learn all the applications. Well, not all of them, but the main applications from the first 7 changes, and how to change between this one and, you know, how to start to move from, you know, this one to that one, to, you know, just like, you know, from letter A to letter Y to Y to H to J, you know. Some changes, so that's the hard part, isn't it?
Yeah.
First learning the applications is the easy stage. Learning how to change between you can change from A to Z to X. That's the hard bit, isn't it? So we've been building up his handwork. Yeah, we've done it. We haven't done it regularly. Through the applications, you can learn basics, obviously, because you're touching all the time. But we've started to introduce a little bit of pushing and stuff, don't we? But it's difficult because he's down here and I'm up here, so it's a bit unfair. But he does practice, you know. I think you've been out this week. You got up three times before you went to school.
Yeah.
Got up at 7, did 20 minutes, circles, some. Oh, and we've also been doing swimming, haven't you? You started to learn how to swim, like how to a little bit freestyle, if you like, how to just. Change, you know, at will, just how to blend, as opposed to just going for like the first palm, the second palm, the third palm. It's actually taking out a few moves and just like, well, I want to go this way, I want to go this way, you know. And,
creativity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've been doing that for maybe about 6 months, or but that, again, that's very, it's very complicated. You know, it's structureless within a structure, if you know what I mean. It's a bit like jazz, you know. It sounds a bit wild and a bit out there, but actually it's very structured, you know. But it's complicated. I mean, you have to really know what you're doing before you start to go outside. Otherwise, you get lost, and you know it's a mess. So you really got to know inside, and before you start to go outside, and then you can change, go in and out at will. Form, no form, you know, structure, no structure. You can yin and yang. You can change. It's not as easy, is it? Yeah, good. Good. Oh, yeah, good. What's that one?
When you do.
Green Dragon.
Yeah.
Good. And again. Good. Yes. Good. 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 Choose the one. Good. Yeah. Oh. Good one. Jansen, that's good. And again, and again. Yes, good. Good. Oh, good, good. Let's see that. Oh, good. Oh. That was a good one. Come on then. Yeah, that's good.
Wrong.
That's right, that's good. That's fine. Good. Good.
My dad's teacher is really good, and he can just move anyone easily.
Plays with me like a toy, doesn't he? Yes, like I play with you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he's 7 years old. Pure skill. Pure skill. You know, he's a genius for sure. I think. We think. The students think. You know, we're lucky.
Yeah, so just
Good. He's too high to do the next stuff. Like, it's too small.
Oh yeah.
Be careful with that. Good.
Do that on the head.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Good. That's Green Dragon whips his tail. Good. Oh, yes, good.
Step.
Good. Yeah. Good. Right. Yeah. Yeah, you've done that one. Side show. Side. Yeah. Oh, yeah, good. Good. Yeah. Snap that way.
Oh, I know.
Side. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Too slow.
I'm trying to think which one's
Side shot.
I did that one.
I don't know what. Go that way, snap. Snap that way. Oh, yes. Yeah? Yeah, that's right. That's right. Good. Yeah. Different skills, higher level, higher understanding. Just a different. Maybe you can't really say one's better than the other. It's like saying, Picasso's better than Matisse, isn't it? I mean, what does that mean? It's all subjective. It's who you like, who you have a affinity with, because it's very abstract. Each one is formless. The theory is the way he understands the theory, I should say, is really really deep, and his skill is phenomenal. I mean, you could drop him. He's 70 years old. You could drop him in the octagon with his cigarette. He wouldn't bat an eyelid. He wouldn't bat an eyelid. He wouldn't run, scream, shout. He would just flick his cigarette away and just be ready. And there's not many 70-year-olds could cope with that, but he could. So, to have a teacher like that is quite. Not only can he do it, really do it, he can also explain it. So you have a really high level of yin and yang. You have a really deep understanding, and you have a really high level fighting ability. So, it's quite something.
What does the Bagua practice mean to you?
Well, I don't fully understand it now, but my dad said as I grow older, I'd start to understand it more and see how it helps.
He thinks it's hard work, and it is hard work for a child, and it's boring. But I think he does understand the benefits physically, mentally. He does, but he doesn't know necessarily what they are. But he knows inside it somewhere there's a diamond, but it just takes a lot of polishing, No, he doesn't like confrontation. He's a quiet kid, but he's definitely, he's not that bothered, are you? I hope, he's not that bothered, no.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful at school, don't we? Because he was telling me, tell Alex what you were telling me about when you wrestle sometimes and you can see all the breaks and the locks.
Oh yeah, sometimes my friends just like to wrestle each other, and sometimes they grab me and I can feel how I can just snap their arms straight away or break their wrist.
Yeah, I mean he can see it, he can feel it, and he came home and just said, this is it's crazy. I can snap this and break this, and you can see it, you can feel it, can't you? But
yeah, I just felt
we don't
someone's
do
arm stuck in my arm, I just pull it and snap it, but
we don't do things like that.
no.
But it's interesting when he told me, So yeah, he's learned something, and
Yeah, he's learned something.
yeah. Learning how to control it is a lot harder than learning how to dish it out.
Yeah.
Well, every boxing will have its oral transmission, whether it's Peng Nu Jian, Tai Lian Jiu Kao, or Xing Yi, talking about Qi Wei Zuan, Luo Wei Fan, and Ba Zi Gong. Xing Yi has a Ba Zi Gong. Kou-chan, the oral transmission. Bagua, Kai Peng, Dun Tan, Dan Ma Chuan Zai, there's an 8-character transmission again. Every style is different. Every style will have their own transmission. Taiji, Peng Nu Jian, Tai Lian Jiu Kao, which most of the Taiji, I don't know all the different Taiji styles, but is passed down. So that's important. Not necessarily the outside. We're talking, the outside's never that important. It's just shaped. So these energies, if you like, that are passed down, they're obviously very important, because without these subtle skills, nothing really works. So Taiji's 8-character transmission, and there's a few others too. That's what makes Taiji Taiji. Yeah, for sure. Peng, first character is Peng. Peng's the first character for a reason, because nothing works without it really. But they say in Taiji, they say Peng is the mother of all the other energies. Okay? Because you need some Pengjin, otherwise you're going to collapse like a lump of tofu. Okay. So what you want is tofu with some skin. You ever seen in China? They have the, you know, it's got like a hard skin on top.
Yeah, that's the
or like a football, again, just full of air. Okay, but it's got a skin around it, full of air. Suddenly you've got something. So when I first learned Taiji from Mr. Long, Master Long, the first thing, obviously, you know, basics, then we start pushing. And he would explain to me about making the Peng big, like everything. A big saying in Chinese is about make things big and then you make them small. Big you can see, small you can't see. What we want is small. We don't want the opponent to see it. So when I first started to learn Taiji, his emphasis is on a big Peng. So when you push me, I want, okay. But that's too big. It's not practical. It's not practical. If I'm big like this, it's very easy for you to pull me. Yeah. So that's what I want. So the better you get, the smaller the Peng becomes. Okay? And the better you get, the smaller it becomes. And then, smaller it becomes. And then, smaller it becomes. Smaller it becomes. But it's still there. You can't, it doesn't disappear, it just shrinks.
Can I just explain for the camera that it really feels like pushing something, or suddenly, and then you're pushing on a smaller ball, then
That's
pushing,
right.
Smaller ball, then push, and then suddenly there's nothing there, but you're still,
It's still
can't
there.
move.
You can't see it.
You can't see it.
So
and
it
the size
becomes
is
very
diminished.
inside. It becomes very inside. It becomes not obvious for the eye to see. So again, you push me, you push. Is it there or is it gone?
There, but tiny.
You can't see it from the
can't see
outside, right? So that's what I want. I want you to fall into my trap. So I can start off big. The moment you push, on Taiji there's a saying, I want you to fall into that hole. Okay? So the moment you fall into the hole, it's going fly out. Okay? But to get you to fall into that hole takes a lot of skill.
That change is so instantaneous as well.
It's very quick.
Yeah.
It's
really
like
falling into
you're
a hole.
landing on a trampoline or I've got a string for a bow and you push the string, zoom, and then suddenly you're gone.
Or like you're walking along a dark street.
That's right. And you fall down a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea it's coming.
Yeah. Well, that's the idea, but that takes time.
Yeah. Is that a progressive from less?
Of course, that's what I'm saying. You start off with a big circle. You
Yeah.
have to start off out here. But at the time I let go now, you'll follow me in.
Sure.
So it's not very practical.
Yeah.
So I make it smaller.
Yeah.
I make it smaller, and then when you push,
This is changing.
this is pump. This is
Peng.
pump.
And then making it smaller.
Making it invisible.
Making it invisible.
Making it invisible. The smaller you make it, the better. Because you take my softness as weakness.
Yes.
So you push.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't want to give you this.
Yeah.
Because you won't come in. I'm like a spider. I want you to come into my that's why the spider web's hard to see for a fly, isn't it? If it was black and red, the flies wouldn't fly into it. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I want you to, come in. Nothing there.
Yeah.
Soft, like a cloud. I'll stand on that.
Yeah.
Taiji, old Master Long used to, as we all know now, but he used to tell me, Taiji is like a iron wrapped in cotton. It looks soft, looks like nothing, but when you touch it, ooh. Yeah. So that's what you want. You want like a cloud, but inside the cloud, large lump of steel. So the softer you are on the outside, the harder you want to be on the inside. Okay? Most people, when they start practicing, they're hard on the outside.
Yeah. Nothing inside.
Empty, inside is soft. What you want is outside soft, inside hard. Yeah, so this is a complete change of mind, isn't it?
Is that linked at all with breathing and dantian, or not necessarily?
No.
It's more a mind
It's all mind.
created.
It's only mind. So I think England in the 60s and 70s specifically It was a very violent place. And the town I grew up in was apparently the most violent. So you have a lot of exposure to violence, and fights, and I can remember that from very young, been surrounded by violence. Don't go there, don't go there, don't look at him. It's a dangerous place. Don't go down that street, don't go into that area. You don't look at that guy for more than a few seconds. That kind of environment. So I think as not being a violent person or just being your average guy, it's not a nice situation to be in, to grow up in necessarily, to feel vulnerable. When I moved to London when I was young, and to study music. So music is very different to martial arts. Still an art. There's a lot of similarities in any art, martial art. So there's a lot of comparisons. Like I draw on them all the time if I'm teaching, or if I'm trying to understand something, I can use the music as a comparison. It's very simple and very similar. But I studied music, but I didn't like London necessarily. It wasn't really for me. Having grown up in a small town in the country, surrounded by trees, and then suddenly surrounded by lots of buildings, wasn't my thing. So I didn't like London, but I wanted to learn martial arts. But I was only a skinny kid, not like not a tough guy. So my first exposure was to Tai Chi, and this was a long time ago. Don't forget. So certainly I can remember, and there's no magazines, there's no internet. A long time ago. So the world was a lot smaller then. Not like it is now. You can just find out anything in a few seconds. Then I had no idea what Tai Chi was. To me, it was just a martial art. So I started to learn some Tai Chi in London. So some stepping, some pushing, some applications, some form. Power is a whole body movement. If you need power, power is just one part of the puzzle, isn't it? Mm. You've got to have handwork, you've got to have body work, you've got to have footwork, you've got to have a lot of skills, and then you have power on the top. Because if you've just got power and nothing else, you can't do nothing. You've got to have a lot of skills before you put power on the end.
It's the cream of the cake.
Yeah, the power comes naturally. Power comes from softness. Softer you are, the more power you generate.
And the thing with breathing, just breathe.
Make sure you shouldn't think about it.
Yeah.
I've never even talked to it about Coltrane, except when he holds his breath.
Yes.
Because sometimes he'll hold his breath when he's doing form, or if he's boxing, sometimes we box, and he'll hold his breath. So that's a no-no. You can't bear qi. You can't.
What about sinking breath to the dantian?
Exactly. Well, that's just natural.
Over time, it will come if you relax.
It's just, you shouldn't have to think about it.
Mm.
If I sent you swimming, you wouldn't think about it, would you? Are you thinking about it now? No, exactly. So it has to be like that. I don't think anyone told Mike Tyson, Mike, breathe with your... It comes naturally.
Yeah.
You do it enough, teacher will tell you once or twice, someone throws a medicine ball at you a few times, you should know how to breathe with your abdomen. Then you don't think about it anymore, You can't hold your breath, you'll die very quick, You won't survive a fight more than 10 seconds if you start. No. Breathing, the only thing you need to know about breathing is to sink your chi down to here. Like I said, when I had asthma, and it started to happen naturally without people saying, relax. I don't need to breathe with this anymore. Suddenly my asthma's cured.
Yeah, because you're filling up your lungs
exactly.
as well.
You're everything down here instead of up here, suddenly it's down here. But it's a very simple thing. It's not a complicated thing. It's just a very simple thing. Okay, so pung, but we can talk about pung. Pung is a whole body. It looks like, for example, if you're pushing my arms, actually, it's a whole body thing. It's not just the arms. It's left, right, up, down, forward, back, everywhere. As you push, pung disappears. Yeah, so it's a whole body thing. It's not just the arms. The arms are just what you touch. It's the whole body thing. Okay. Liu could, right, so for example, you push me here. As you push, Liu, That's an example of Liu. Rolling, like a rolling pin. Push, Liu. Yeah, just a small, start off big, end up small. Okay, Liu, 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 Liu. Yeah, Liu, Liu. Yeah, so Liu is like a rolling pin, you know. If you wanna punch me, you go. It's gone. Liu, and then I can pung. I still got your here, but it's too far away. So let it come in, then it disappear, then you fall into the hole.
Perfect compliment.
Exactly. So I put the two together then. Liu, pung,
Yeah.
and then off we go. So pung, liu, ji. Ji is to like squeezing. Okay, again, it could be big, it could be small. The better you are, the smaller it gets. Okay. So, for example, ji, you can use any hand. So ji, as you push, you feel the squeeze, push. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ji.
Yeah.
But that's the big one. That's a big ji. Imagine there's like a big ball here, and you push the ball, and then the ball comes back. Yeah.
It's different to pump.
It's different.
Yeah.
Very different feeling. But I can make the ji very small. I can make it very short, very big, or very short. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine, for example, here was a, well, maybe here was a lemon, like a small egg. Yeah. And I want to squeeze that. Or like a fruit, and you want to squeeze all the juice out. Yeah, squeeze it. What they want is a very short motion, very short. Pung is like an expanding and contracting, isn't it? As you push, contract, expand.
Yeah.
This one is boom.
Yeah, really shocking.
Very short.
Very short power.
Very short. Very short.
You can't even say it's expansion as much as a shock.
Shock.
Sending a shockwave.
Shock. If I gave you an orange, I put it on the wall.
Yep.
I said, put your palm on it, and
Yeah.
but it can be big. It also can be small.
Would you say Xingyi is more like a G, that the overall thing that you're aiming for is like this very short,
Yeah.
but the
Short
pung is
power.
already in there because it's, by its very nature, it's there.
Yeah, you have to have
Yeah.
or it's just slightly different training methods. Slightly different training methods.
Pung Liu Ji.
Pung Liu Ji An is a
interesting.
generally speaking is heavy downward pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the moment we meet, I had really bad asthma as a kid. I mean, not as a kid, but as I got older, it got really bad. It got severe. You know, there was a point when I couldn't walk 30, 40 meters, really, and that's not far, is it? That's not, it's not far, without having to stop and sit down wherever I sit down on the pavement on the street and gasp for breath. So it's quite something. That's pretty severe. And I had an inhaler, obviously. You had an inhaler all the time, and that was pretty severe. That was just an insane feeling. If you've not had it, then it's scary. You don't know where your next breath's coming from. You feel like you're gonna die. So that was pretty bad. But interestingly enough, I know why now. I didn't know at the time, because later I went to study China to study medicine. So I kind of found out, according to Chinese medicine, what had caused the change. But I started practicing Tai Chi in London, and within 3 or 4 months, there and about. I mean, it wasn't something I was aware of at the time, but after 3, 4, 5 months, it was gone. And one day it occurred to me, I don't have asthma anymore. What's happened? There's a change. I can do everything, and I don't have to use the puffer. I don't have to, lie down and pray to God for help. It had changed. Quite extraordinary. It's still quite interesting. But at the time, I didn't understand the connection. I don't think I could really even relate it to the practicing of the Tai Chi. But obviously, it was. It changed my breathing. Obviously, Chinese medicine believe the kidneys grasp the air. It's not the lungs. All right, but and obviously in Western medicine, if you've got asthma, they always treat the lungs. But in Chinese medicine, they always treat the kidneys. So when you start learning martial arts, the first thing you're going to really learn, even if you're aware of learning it or not, is breathing. You know, if you're pushing or wrestling, or even if you're doing the form, the first thing you're going to learn is qi ru dantian. You've got to start breathing from here instead of breathing up here. And then if you've got asthma, you know everything's from here. You're grasping for air. You don't know how to send your mind or your breath down to your this area. So obviously after practicing for a few months, even unconsciously, I was starting to breathe from here as opposed to breathing with my lungs. And like I said, after 4, 5, 6 months, you know, I realised that I didn't have asthma anymore, and I've never had it since. You know, it stopped. That was it. It's just stopped. And the rest of them, you know, until now, I've never had any symptoms or any, you know, reoccurrence or anything. What's the word? It's just like a side effect of practicing in a martial arts. They have two sides, obviously. You have a yin and a yang, and you have a health and you have a martial. So if you're not particularly strong or healthy, then it can turn, you know. And if you're not good at fighting, that can also turn. So that's the idea, isn't it? Is to turn something, maybe, for example, a good example, who was weak and pretty useless, into something that's okay, it's quite healthy, and you know, it's quite confident. So that's a good example of you know, changing a good benefit of martial arts, isn't it? Like I said, it could have been anything. Really, there was a guy who was just teaching for free. He didn't charge, and I didn't have no money, so that was that was a good thing. So that worked out well. He just wanted someone to practice with, so that worked out well. And in a book I mentioned to you earlier, I saw an address of a guy from Malaysia, Master Long. And I thought, well, I really like this. You know, I fell in love with it, as you do. You know, any art, you just dive in, and you know, it just it can take you over. You know, like music took me over. You know, and as a kid, and this sort of enveloped me. You know, I tried to. It's not so easy to find out about martial arts or Chinese martial art culture at that time. Master Long was there's a power, like a skill in the Wu style called Lao Nu Jin. It's like you develop it while you're pushing, how you can practice it, and it's like we call it like a strenuous power. It's very heavy, so that's the kind of power you want to have with An. Yeah, very heavy, down pressure, and of course you'll float. And then very heavy. I'll do it again. Yeah, heavy downward pressure. Yeah, you can feel it. Yeah, it's making you unstable. Yeah.
Yep.
Very heavy, very heavy and down. Yeah.
That's
so you know, and it's everywhere. They're everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
Every movement you make, it's a heavy.
And you can manifest any one of the four.
Exactly. Where does it all come from? Mind. Yi. 容易不容易 Chinese say. Don't use strength, use. They manifest quick. My mind can change faster than the body. Mind can change quicker than that. It's so fast. So I can move between Peng Lu Jian in a split second. Your body's still catching up with the first one. The mind has no limit. Speed. Yeah, Peng Lu Jian. Tai is a pluck, like that. Yeah. If you, yeah.
Yep.
Or if I'm on the outside, I can pluck. You can pluck forward. You can pluck any angle. Quite often the pluck is at an angle to take you away from me. Yeah. So here, pluck you onto me. Yeah. Plucking. Pluck. Plucking is usually diagonal. Look, why it's not onto you? Because of your head.
Yes.
So I really want to take you at an angle, yeah? Take you at an angle.
Yeah.
Pluck. Can we pluck down? Can we pluck up? Can pluck to the side. There's a few techniques we have. We pluck to the side. And you put to the side, Peng Zian Cai. Lier. Lier is to split the energy. So as it comes, taking it away. Like a spinning ball.
Mm.
If you hit a ball that's spinning, you'll twist.
Yeah.
Just like that. Okay. Peng Zian Cai Lier 就靠. Kao is to lean. Lean on you. Push. Push me. Feel me leaning? I'll do it again. Push, push.
Yes.
Feel me coming
Yeah,
in on you?
Yeah, like a wedge almost.
Yeah, it's like a wall falling down.
Mm.
And you're trying to hold it up. Oh. Yeah, like a.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
definitely-
You can also. So I thought, okay, let's save some money and see if I can find this old guy in the back of the book. So that's what I did. I saved some money and I got on a plane. I think it wasn't the first time I got on a plane, but it was. I think it was the second time I'd been on a plane. I went to America when I was in London. I went to New York. I wanted to visit the Apollo Theatre in Harlem. That's another story. That was just a crazy time because we couldn't get a taxi to take us up there. Taxis wouldn't go there. But anyway, we got there. I wanted to see where James Brown played, the Apollo Theatre in Harlem. So I did that. So it was the second time I got on a plane, and I went to Malaysia, and it was hot as hell. I'd never experienced the heat of a tropical country. Well, it's just insane, And if you've not experienced it, it's really the first time the heat hits you as you come out of the airport. Boom! It's like a wall, isn't it? It's like it's just you can claw the air. It's scary. So that was it. I got to Malaysia, stayed in Kuala Lumpur for a few days. Just soaking it all in. It's a crazy place. It's just full on. And I took a bus. I think asked some people where this kind of area is on the address, and it's in a place called PJ, which is just a satellite town outside of Kuala Lumpur, which is actually a very big town now. And I wandered around the suburbs with a backpack on, asking people, do you know where this house is? People were sending me here, there, and everywhere, and it was so hot. It was like in the afternoon, and it was like 30 plus, and the sun's coming down, and I was dying. And eventually, I got to this street and this big house. Master Long he was an engineer with ESO. When he was working. He was a very educated guy. He was extremely intelligent, extremely well educated, Hong Kong University. And he was sitting, he had big iron gates in his house outside, and he was sitting in the big detached house. And he was sitting in the garden reading his newspaper. And this crazy white guy came up and knocked on his gate, and he was like this, looking at that. And, I said, hello, and are you Master Long? He said, yeah. Who the hell are you? Luckily he spoke English, fluent, perfect English, so asked me to come in and then gave me the third degree, who are you, what are you doing here? It was quite a long time ago, so, you didn't see so many skinny white guys wandering around those days. And gave me the third degree, asked me every question, which is normal in Chinese culture. If you're going to learn something like this, who are you, what do you do, what have you done, what do your parents do, how many children, brothers and sisters, what it's like. So I told him everything, just answered questions, and gave me some water, and he was 67 then. He just retired, a few years retired, and I said. Asked him about the Tai Chi, obviously, and he said, yeah, well, we have a class tonight. I think it was a Friday, and they taught 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and he said, we got a class tonight, in a few hours' time, so if you want, you can come along. So that was my introduction to it's quite interesting because then later on, certainly when I came back to England, things had changed again, and I got the feeling, well, for sure, that Tai Chi was not always seen as a martial art. But when I learned it was definitely a martial art, and I didn't know any different. Subsequently, people practice for health or practice for whatever reason. But when I did it, it was 100% martial art. And in fact, the class, they shared the rooftop space with other. There was like an organisation. They practiced Wing Chun and Southern, like Choi Li Foot and Southern Mantis, and all these guys were a group. And Tai Chi was part of the group. It wasn't seen as something outside of the group. It was just Northern boxing, just typical Northern boxing. So it was, that was my first. That was my start really. When I really started. Oh, 碰住之間猜咧做行 this one up, elbow.
That's going to be nice.
Well, what elbow? Obviously, I can hit with the elbow, but that's very simple, isn't it? What about if you push me and I put the elbow in? You feel it? Push.
Yeah. Yes, it's different. It's different.
Use the elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, cow. Elbow, cow. Yeah. The pung's always there as well. Without the pung, nothing survives. You're just collapse. Okay. Pung 你自然猜来就考.
Yeah. And then again, like you said with the Bagua, the ability is not just the individual elements, but being able to change very rapidly as you need to between them. And that's the endless skill, isn't it?
That's the endless skill. Absolutely. What do you want to draw?
Yeah.
You have to. You can imagine you can flow between shapes. Just move any way you want. Like calligraphy, almost like freestyle, 草书, like freestyle. You just go, but it has a meaning. Every stroke has its place, but when you look at it, oof. It's just like a dancing snake, But everything has a meaning. Every stroke has a meaning. If you miss a bit out, people won't be able to read it. What the hell's that?
Yeah.
So it has to be there, but it's all hidden.
Yeah. It slowly reveals itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn. We used to practice outside on the rooftop, up to about 3 or 4 flights, and in the night time, because it's so hot in the day, so all the classes started around about 8 o'clock at night, and they went from like 8 to 10 or 8 to 11 or whatever, at night. And the first thing I learned, was falling and rolling, how to roll, how to fall, and scissor kicks. You know scissor kicks? This is Tai Chi. So this is what Master Long had learnt in the 1940s and the 50s in Hong Kong from Chen Wing Kwong. Chen Wing Kwong was Wu Jianchuan's disciple. And this is what I learned first. Scissor kicks, break falling, obviously, because there's a lot of throws in the Wu style. And rolling, although it was on concrete, so you couldn't really, do that so easily. That was the first thing I learned, yeah. And some in the Wu style they have a lot of neigong, called neigong, and there are a lot of exercises to help you with applications in the form, because all the movements have applications, obviously. And these are exercises designed to help you with applications, basically. And or to develop certain skills, maybe certain skills which help the applications, and some exercises. One specifically called the Golden Turtle, which is to develop what can you say, some kind of iron shirt, So and I learned some of these as well. So that was my first, because the Master Long said I'm too thin, I'm too weak. Which was all true. So you need to toughen up, So the first thing was some neigong exercises. That was his idea, to make me a bit stronger. You know, it wasn't that long ago. I was dying of asthma. You know, so that's what we did, and I practiced 3 nights a week in the class. And Thursday nights I used to go to Master Long's house to practice just with him. But I practiced with him, and it was a small class. I was the only young guy there. Occasionally there was another guy that came. He's in his 30s. The rest of them were all like 60s and 70s and 80s. They were all old guys. They were all students of Chen Wing Kwong, all his disciples. Master Long was the senior because he was the first to Bai Shi in Hong Kong in the 40s. And then when Chen Wing Kwong came over to Malaysia and Singapore, and even, I think he even went to Thailand would have been the 50s. He started to teach people and accept disciples that way. But as Master Long was a senior disciple from the 1940s, he was like the head of the clan, and he was my teacher, as it were. So I only pretty much 90% of the time I only practiced with him. And there was like say 4 or 5 other Master Xu and Master Wong, Master Yun. Yeah, really 4 or 5 guys, you know, not a lot of guys. And occasionally a young guy would come, but not all the time. He was also a disciple of Master Long. Master Yun had another disciple as well, had his own disciple as well. It's quite strange how it worked. Like Master Long, although he was the oldest guy and the senior disciple, for some reason, I guess it's how they were introduced, some of the younger disciples, but they weren't young, they were in their 60s, had taken on somebody. Does that make sense? But because I'd met Master Long first, as opposed to one of the others. Anyway, he was my teacher. He was my teacher. So I basically only practiced with him. So it was good. It was just truly awesome, to be honest. It was called the Chongwu Taiji Health and Pugilistic Society. And there was a sign downstairs outside of there's a restaurant downstairs and a few floors down. There was an old sign outside with Taiji Health and Pugilistic Society. It was brilliant. And no, that was it. Go upstairs, you have to light the incense to put in front of their teacher, Chen Wing Kwong. Sometimes that was my job, to light the incense and put it, that was in the stairwell as you came out onto the roof. That was every class, you had to do that. And that was it. No, it was a very, martial arts are dead and dying. You know, no one's interested in this. Isn't no one's interested. I made friends when I was there a long time. I made friends in the villages, certainly in Malacca. I had friends on the weekends. If I had time, I would go to Malacca. There was I had a friend in the village, just outside of the main centre of Malacca. It was a really just shacks. They lived in shacks, you know. And one day we were walking down the road. The track wasn't a road; it was a dirt track. And this guy was loading up swords in the back of a car, axes, swords, you know, machetes, kitchen knives, you know, anything sharp. He was putting it in the back of the car. I said to Panya, he was my friend. He also practiced martial arts. He was a really skilled guy, but hard boxing. Hard. I mean, you couldn't get it. He used to open. If you've seen the durian fruit, you know what durian is. I seen him open durian fruit with his fingers. I mean, you wouldn't want to touch them. You know, they're like, oh, it's like a head, you know. It's like how do you grab these things? And he used to open them with his fingers. He would just like this, and slowly, and he would rip them open with his fingers. I mean, it's just insane. So he was smashing wood, you know, with his he was just a nice guy, but he was into the hard boxing, you know. You learn from all these old Chinese guys in the village, you know. He wasn't a young guy, but he was tough. He was a tough cookie. But anyway, walking down, and all these guys were loading swords and like anything sharp in the back of the car. So I asked him, you know, well, what's he up to? He said he's going for a rumble, you know. Going for a rumble. So probably the next weekend, or shortly after, back in the village again, and walking just up and down the track, in the little shanty town, and we're seeing the same guy, bandage, with a sling, head all shaved, cuts. Yeah, so it was still going on. Then I think it probably still does. Now it was full on. Now it was 24/7. It was just. I used to get up 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the. I lived in Chinatown in KL, so I would go to the park in the morning, practice form, and there was also you could quite often find a few Wu style guys, not necessarily high level skills, but or even anyone, a few guys to push with, do some bit of pushing, practice form, whatever I needed to practice, some of the Neigong or whatever in the mornings. So that was my morning time. Lunchtime I practiced on my own again, form, Neigong, because I hadn't really learned the form then. The form was a new thing to me, so I still hadn't even got through it. I mean, the traditional form is pretty long. So for me that was it was a hard thing. I never learned anything like a form before, and so it was quite a mystery. It was really tricky. I thought it was very tricky, especially a really long form like that. It's 108. It's a big, it's a lot of repetition, but it was. I thought it was tricky to learn. I wasn't very strong, so my postures were high, and like doing some of the movements was always going to be tricky. My legs weren't strong enough, so that was hard work. And Wu style, they have a square form first, so we kind of learned the square form, and then straight onto the round form. So the round form is pretty tough. I thought it was tough then. Obviously now it's easy. It's not a problem. But then it was mastering the moves, trying to learn the moves, trying to get the moves right. And it was quite an experience. I practiced that. Neigong, trying to make myself stronger and try to just think about all the things Master Long was telling me all the time, So I practiced lunchtime, and in the evening it was class, Monday night, Wednesday, Friday, Thursday night Master Long. So that was most of the week. So it was pretty intense. I practiced as much as I could. I was young, 20, early 20s. So when you're young, you got plenty of. Now I just want to sit down all day. But then it was you couldn't stop. You just practice all the time, and I loved it. It was just truly awesome. It was just I couldn't explain it. It was I had nothing, but I was the happiest guy on the planet. Just being with these old guys. And I used to just pester poor old Master Long. Just question after question, because this was all new. Like I said, there was no reference point. I couldn't look on the net. There was no net. It's just what is this stuff, and what does this mean? What is this? What are all these things? Liu, Peng, Liu, Jian, Yan, Lian, Sui, and what are all these? What is this stuff? And I was always pestering, and then I'm pestering about how he learned when he was young. I wanted to do everything he did. I wanted to practice like he practiced. And then he'd tell me, oh yeah, but my teacher used to change things. As he got older, as his teacher got older, he would start to, change the form a little bit, which is natural. It's an art, it's perfectly, in Chinese culture, it's perfectly natural to change. You learn something, you understand it, you change it. That's perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable. Over in the West, it's not necessarily, people seem to like something original. But there is no original. Nothing's original. It's all changing all the time, there is no original thing. That thing is, as soon as it's fixed, it's dead. It's changing all the time. There's nothing fixed. It's just moving. It's a moving thing. Just like music, you can't stop it. It's gone. You can't stop it. It's not music anymore. It's moving. It's a moving, living thing. So it's moving all the time. So I said, no, I want to learn what you learned first. I wanted to learn that as early as I could. Just crazy. But it was great. So learning applications. He was an old guy, but he could. If there was what can you say? If there was a weakness, there was the fact that he was an old guy and I was a young guy, and there was no one really to throw, or you couldn't really practice locks and throws on a 70-year-old guy. But he could still teach me. He could still teach me. He was fit as hell. He was a weightlifter when he was a young, so he was a really strong and fit guy. But obviously, I couldn't. You couldn't throw me. He could throw me on the floor, but I couldn't throw him. Yeah. So applications, form, and after the class, they used to go for food. So 11 o'clock at night, you go for dinner. Sit there for another hour doing eating, and I would just mess along. Poor guy. What about this? What about that? What about this? What did your teacher do? What did you do? I just drive him crazy with this stuff, But I think he liked me, so it was good. So I learned a lot of different bong tramba. Usually the principles is it's the principles which are important, not really the shape. It's really not that important. If you're getting a lot of power out of that shape, then it's good. Because Xingyi, certainly in the beginning, is power training. Pi Bong Zhuang Po is all about really getting power. First stage really. So for example, Bong. When you do Bong, the Qi Wei Heng, first thing is to Heng, and then Luo Wei Beng. So the second part is to Beng. So it's not just obviously coming out this direction. It's like a spear. It's like you're holding. Really, it's like you are holding a spear, and you twist. So you would twist. So, like I said, mostly, if I was practicing it, I would practice Master Li's one, so Li Chunyi style, I suppose, the way he taught, which would come out like this. It's not straight. Have a jiao du, stand jiao, have a triangle, but it's not too short. The idea is you make contact and then you fire. Okay, so Heng, Bong. I'll show you what I mean. So for example, let's just stand there. So when I come out, if you come, the first thing you do is Heng. See the Heng? I got a bad elbow, so I got it. Qi Wei Heng. So the first thing, I'm coming out with my Heng. So I'm coming forward, but I'm also going horizontal. Heng means horizontal. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I'm not all horizontal, right, because otherwise you're just gonna. Exactly. So I have to have two planes of motion. I have to have forward, but I have to have the twist, the horizontal movement. Yes. So you have to have two planes of motion always. So as I come out, there's my Heng, mm-hmm, and then the second part is a bump. Yeah. So you can feel straight away that exactly. Yeah.
And it goes straight down into the roof.
You can feel it coming in here. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, I could change it into P, right, or I could keep it with the Heng. Mm-hmm. And you see that I want to catch the elbow here. Mm-hmm. This is like Master Li. His handwork was fabulous. Master Li. I used to say to him and the students, my classmates, Master Li's handwork was like Wing Chun, but they'd never seen Wing Chun.
Just recap, who is Master Li?
Master Li was Li Chunyi's style Xingyi, right?
Grand student of Master Li.
Yeah.
Of Li Chunyi.
Yeah. And he was a scary dude.
And your first Xingyi teacher?
First real Xingyi teacher in China, I would say. But I'd learned it before. This guy was a scary one, a scary guy. Some of them were good, but I like the scary ones, Because that's the ones that make your heart flutter, and that's what you want.
He hit you hard.
He never hit me, but he scared the shit out of me because you could feel the power. It's like a rhino charging at you, but it stops. So it's only got a. That's enough. Okay. If it hit you, it'd kill you. Yeah. I mean, he'd kill you. It's like he's like been hit by a charging rhino. So if he hit you, you wake up in hospital. All right. So you certainly wouldn't want to be hit. Because he had tremendous short power, and exquisite handwork. like I said, I used to say to him, but they never seen Wing Chun. China, they never seen Wing Chun. Can you believe it? Wing Chun doesn't look like it, but it did. Just fantastic handwork, so quick and so sharp. But, so anyway, so bung, like this, from here, come in, and then from here, find the gap, and then from here you fire.
Yeah.
There you fire.
Yeah.
So you can see Qi Wei Hung, Luo Wei Bung. So that's a bung trap, straight line.
Okay, even this bung train is I'm gonna wake up in hospital if I'm lucky.
Yeah, no, not like Master Lee, right? Not like Master Lee. So,
but you have very good control because it stops
sure,
just on the
you
surface.
can't be hurting people. Again, so if I Qi Wei Bung, if I Qi Wei Hung like this, but you're too strong, I'm not gonna fight it. Hung the other side. Now there's a gap there now. Yeah. So if I hung here, then I can hung the other side. Yeah. If I come in this side, you're too strong. Or I can hung this side. So this is a hung tran. Yeah. Hung. So I can hung. There you go. And then this hand's coming. Hung again. I got a choice. This one's too strong. Hung.
Yep.
Or hung. Yeah. Just like that.
Sure.
And then I could change hung into zhuan.
Yep.
This one's zhuan.
Yep.
Oh, there's a gap there.
Yeah. It's chess, isn't it?
It's a game of chess.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a game of chess. So this is an example of hung. But say like we were talking about bung. Bung, qi wei hung, xian wei hung, and luo wei bung. Like pi chuan, first zhuan, and then pi. So you don't straight P. It's Qi Wei Zhuan, Luo Wei Fan. It's the same in the Xingyi. Qi when you take off, when you start, Zhuan. Zhuan also got two directions, obviously. And Pi Wei Zhuan also got two directions. Forward horizontal and upwards horizontal. So when I Qi Wei Zhuan, there's my Zhuan. There's your punch. Now your punch is going that way. So there's my zhuan. So qi wei zhuan, there's my first one. Now if you block that, I can feel you've blocked it. Luo, when I land, this is like a plane taking off. So when I land, that's my pi. And then I step. So qi wei zhuan, luo, pi, wei fan. Fan means to turn the hand over. Qi, luo. So that's a pi chuan. Now you can pi chuan very big, like a Jianzhou Dong, or pi chuan very very small, like a Huoyun Shen. Doesn't matter. It's just the xing, xingyi. Xing is not important really, which is what Wang Shenzai was getting to.
Yeah.
Wang Shenzai is like Picasso, We don't need all these shapes anymore. We just get to the middle. Forget the xing. All we want is a yi. So, different styles of xingyi, as long as you understand the principles. And most of the principles are in the wuxing chuan, the 5-element boxing. So most of, like I said, qi wei zhuan, luo wei fan, xian wei hung, luo wei bong, and all these sayings, they're all in wuxing chuan. You can learn a lot from that.
How do you, briefly, what are the elements of developing power in the Wushu? Very simple ones that you're willing to talk about.
Whole body power. Whole body power. So when I was reading from Master Lee in China, I think I learned for about 10 plus years. Every morning before my class, I was a student, so every morning before class, we'd I get to the park like 6:30 in the morning, and up and down. So Master Lee would lead, Master Lee would be in the front, and the rest of the guys were sort of spread out behind, all young guys, and we would just drill. So it would be like 30-40 minutes pi chuan, turn around, which is terrible on the legs, seriously terrible on the legs, but for Master Lee wasn't a problem. He was just retired then, 65, I think he was 63 when I started practicing with him. And then 65 retired. I mean, he was so strong. So strong. So I started practicing up and down every morning. So 30-45 minutes pi chuan, 30-50 minutes bung chuan. This is an hour and a half straight away. an hour and a half straight away, and then rest, and then do applications. You have to find a little bit, because it was like all the students going to the college, the university then, or people going to work, going through the park, so you've got to be a little bit careful in the corner, you know, and just doing some applications, you know. This was in Nankai Dashi, so it wasn't like a public park, if you know what I mean. It was inside the university, so it wasn't so open. So that was first thing you got to do is start to develop some power. So the teacher is going to start to teach you, you know, shoulder and hip. They got to start moving. You know, when you first start practicing, it's nothing's connected. But I've done Tai Chi for many years before, so the connection is a problem. But still, releasing power is not so easy. You know, to get the whole body working as a unit, hand and foot, you know, elbow and knee, and then shoulder, and you've got to everything's got to, you know, work together. Every style is different, but this is the way we learn. So you're going up and down, and the time you maybe 20 meters, and there's no grass in northern China. It's all dirt. So you're practicing on dirt, and you might go 20 meters, and you might get one good one. You might, you know, most of them will be all shit, and then you get one. Master Long, several years training. It's very hard. A lot of training, you know. Just intense for a long time, years. Several years, and then I went to because I couldn't keep doing that. I mean, how do you say? Life was passing by. You got to. You can't spend your whole life practicing Tai Chi on the roof, you know. We have to. Well, I said it's really hard on the legs, because Master Lee he was teaching a slightly different style. Like I say, all styles are different, but his style was one, two, and then three. So you would divide it into three in the beginning for the beginner. Okay, so he would get to here and went Zuan, Qi Wei Zuan, and when he would Pi Chuan, you have to sit. You can't move. You can't come up and have a rest. Sit. And you stay there for a minute, maybe two. I don't know. It's up to you. Following the teacher, and your legs are going. Oh shit. You know, like this. And please move. Please move. Please move. And he's happy. He never talked. 1.5 hours. Never said a word. Just stand there looking ahead, like a rock. And then he moved. Next one, and just stay there. You can't move. And this go on for 45 minutes. You know, you can't. And at the end, your legs are numb. And then it's Bong Chuan. Bong Chuan. You know, another 45 minutes. Oh. Terrible.
And then Zhuan Pao Han would be.
Never really practiced them. Only that was the two main things. You practice them after 45 minutes, after an hour and a half. Sometimes 2 hours on a Saturday, Sunday morning. After that, cigarettes would come out, and then he would teach you, because everything else comes from, like, for example, Pi Chuan, Ha Zuan. Pi, the first thing you do is Zuan, so Zuan Chuan is easy, because you've done it in Pi Chuan. Hung Chuan is easy, because you've done it in Bong Chuan. So, and Pao Chuan is basically Bong Chuan anyway, so the first two really contain everything, so they're easy to learn. It's not complicated to learn singing, very simple, because the shape is a very simple shape. It's not a complicated, Bagua is a complicated shape. The outside is very intricate, very delicate. Xingyi is very small, it's very, looks very, it doesn't look complicated, it's just a shape. 1, 2, I mean, how simple is that? Very simple. But, you know, to generate power is a tricky thing. You know, it just takes time. It just takes time to develop the short, you know, the whole body power. And I say, once you've learnt Pi and Bong, you've pretty much got the other three. So it's not complicated. And then you can try to start learning some of the animal shapes. You know, so after the cigarettes come out, start talking. Here, ask you, you know, or you ask him usually, you know, Master Lee, what about, you know, last time you showed me the tiger, you showed me a bit more and how to use it, and you know, this and this.
What do the animals give that the fighters...
Different handwork, different applications, different ways of, for example, teacher Lee's tiger, teacher Lee's hu pu, 还有虎驼, hu pu, and the headbutt. This is another one. The tiger, you know, ripping up somebody, coming in with the. All right. So different handwork. For example, you might start off with a bung, and then you can change it into the tiger from here. The tiger shape is here, here, like this. So it's almost like a double P-chan. So for example, you could here, and then he would come in here with the tiger, go this way, yeah, like that. Trap this one, and then, yeah, so slightly different handwork. Or even inside, here we go. Got you that way. So just slightly different handwork, and also the mind. Because each animal, xing yi, so what you're learning from the animals, the yi is to try to, what does the yi mean? It's not simple, it's really quite complicated. The idea of the mind is to capture the spirit, the intention of the animal. So whether it's a dragon, or a snake, or a tiger, or a monkey, you want to be that animal. So again, the outside shapes are really irrelevant. They're just shapes. You can throw away shapes, you can change shapes. They're really irrelevant. What you want is the mind. You want to be like think like a monkey, think like a tiger. Each animal will have its quality. A tiger is fierce, it's not scared. A monkey is nimble, sneaky, you know, cheeky, quick, you know. So each animal has its, like they even have, you know, most schools will have a transmission of, an oral transmission, a poem to describe, you know, the characteristics of a particular animal. So all the animals have different minds. 12 animals, but the 12 animals are really just an example. As you go into Yichuan, you know, there's a saying in Yichuan, it contains the universe, you know, so not just 12 animals, that's just too small. The idea is you can select anything your mind desires. You can just literally select anything for your intention. But again, that's a slightly different subject. But so the yi, usually the animals, they're really training the different mindsets, to be fierce like a tiger, to be quick like a monkey, or you know, to be a snake. Every animal has different qualities.
Do people tend to specialise in one or two animals?
No, I wouldn't say specialise. It depends on how good you are at a certain. I always found, for example, Teacher Lee's snake was extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. For me, it was really hard. It was too. I wasn't good at it. I'm quite okay at, say, certain animals because they suit me better. You know, it depends on the individual. You know, he was very good at the snake. It's just so hard on the legs. So you know.
What was your favourite?
I suppose just the tiger is very simple. Or we have Yanxing, not Yanxing, Yaoxing, which is like a sparrow hawk, isn't it? Some kind of a small bird of prey. There's a few moves in that which I quite like, you know, which I find I can do quite well. It just depends on the individual. There's a good move with the shoulder, which I've learned to set up quite well, and I can do quite well. So, you know, I think it's not specialised. What you're good at, what you like, what you prefer. You know, you can't do everything. You can't be good at everything. So, you know.
Xingyi, 5 fists, 12 animals. That's that's pretty much the system.
Yeah, and most styles will have a few forms. I think Teacher Li, we had like Wu Xing Lian Huan, Xiang Sheng Xiang He, it was called, like some more forms. I learned Xingyi before from Zhao Zhenzhong, who was, like I said, Sha Guozhang's disciple. They also got a Wu Xing Lian Huan, a linking form, they call it. And Ba Shu Shui, which is another quite a famous little form, which is also a nice one. It's just a form. Forms are important, but it's another form. And then even some, I did learn what's called a Za Shu Shui, which is everything mixed up. 5 element, 12 animal, and anything else you can throw into the pie. You know, it's a crazy thing. But to be honest, it's just it's nonsense really. It's fun, maybe, but it's not real martial training. If you want to train for martial, you have to single practice everything. What they do is they take, even the animals have, all the animals have forms. Chicken, I'm quite good at chicken too. So the Jising Sabada chicken form, you take every, say the form's got 4, 5, 6 moves, you take every move out, and you sing, and you dan lian, you single practice every move. Every move you have to single, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. You know, and also Teacher Li had a lot of good footwork. He had a lot of different triangular footwork. You know, he's all sorts of different footwork. His footwork was and his handwork was really quite something. You know, so you learn some footwork patterns, and then you can blend the handwork with the footwork patterns. You know, so it becomes a little bit intricate. But every singing is different. The other styles, they never had these things, so you're not quite sure where crossed where came down from where, and who grabbed it from where. But at the end of the day, it's not important.
Sure.
He learned singing since he was about, I think he said he was about 12 or 13. His classmate was the teacher's son. He's still alive. He's 83, 84, and he's a scary guy. His father learned from Li Zhen. His father met Li Zhen Yi. His teacher was Liu Yunjia, but his father met Li Zhen Yi, and although Li Zhen Yi was very old, you know, he did meet him, and that old guy is he's 80 something now, and he's a scary dude.
These old Xingyi men seem to still be very active in practicing.
I mean, these guys, for example, like Master Li, he practices every single day. Unless, like, North China is very, very windy. So if it's an extreme wind and there's a lot of dust, he won't go out, he practices in the house. But generally speaking, he's practicing every single day. And now he's retired, it's twice a day. He goes out, he's got a lot of students now. He's going out in the morning, like say half 6, 7, till 9 or 10. And the rest of the day he's at home resting, and then he's going out in the evening and practicing teaching again. And I went to see him last year. I think he said he's 70 or 75 or something, 77 or something. And he's as fit as a fiddle. Every single day, practically since he was a teenager. That's why they're so strong. That's why they're so strong. I mean, it was, to be honest, that training for those years, up and down, were terrible. They were really awful. I mean, seriously, it was no fun. The fun was, you know, the romance, the learning, but the training was terrible. Freezing cold in the winter, you know, scarves, gloves, balaclavas, freezing, minus 15 in the morning, and in the summertime it's 30 degrees. You know, it's no fun. That was no fun. Up and down, up and down, up and down. But these guys are doing it every day, year for 50, 60 years now. You know, how can you not be strong? You know, it's just it's phenomenal. I didn't tell you the story about him doing. One day we were marveling at his. He would often use what he would do. His handwork was really intricate. Yeah, he would get you. And you see, I'm already there. He would use 2 fingers. 2 fingers. He would touch you like he would get in. You know, in some way or another, he would get in. And he used those 2 fingers, and he would. Right, he wouldn't do it, but you get the idea. Okay. Master, your fingers are so strong. You know, how can they be like that? You know, you say, oh, you know, this is what you got to do. And he's in a little guy. Put a cigarette in his mouth, like this. And his hat on. Put a cigarette in his mouth. Get on the floor. Press ups. Not like this. Like this. Like this, he was 60, 66, 67 then. Like this, he said, with a cigarette in his mouth. Like this. You know? Did he do that? With his cigarette, telling us guys, you've got to do this every day. Push-ups.
Good advert for smoking.
Oh, crazy. He said fingers like iron, you know, like tips of the spear. He didn't use this, he didn't use this, he just used that.
Well,
He's really crazy and funny. Really awesome. Yeah, he's really crazy.
I'll give you some food later.
Yeah.